States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now administer the oath of office to the three re-elected officials. John Burns, Willie Bruce Jr., and Philip Matrician. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of board member for the Ellenville Central School District according to the best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you. You can see those. Are there any nominations for board president for the 2020-2021 school year? John?
Nutrition.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Nominations for board president are now closed. Okay. All those in favor of Phil Matrician? Opposed? None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Mr. Philip Matrician, President of the Board of Education. Please stand and raise your right hand for the oath of office. Do you solemnly swear that you support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Board President for the Ellenville Central School District Board of Education according to the best of your ability?
I do.
Wonderful. Thank you. Are there any nominations for Vice President for the 2020-2021 school year?
Iris Friedman.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Are there any further nominations? Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. So congratulations to Ms. Iris Friedman, Vice President of the Board of Education. Please stand and raise your right hand for the oath of office. Do you solemnly swear that you support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Vice President for the Ellenville Central School District Board of Education according to the best of your ability? Yes, I will. Thank you. I now turn the meeting over to Board President, Mr. Philip Matrician.
Thank you. Thank you, Marisol. Thank you to everybody, and we will carry on with the agenda that we have in front of us under 5.1, appointment of officers.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Can you please have somebody move 1.2 before you proceed?
That was a public hearing, yes.
Oh, okay. That's correct. Under 1.2,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion?
Why are we moving that?
We have been advised by our attorneys to have a public health questionnaire resolution for opening it up to the public, for the public to attend our meetings. And there will be a public health questionnaire in regards to screening for COVID-19. That's what our attorneys have advised us.
To do what? That we have a questionnaire that the public has?
Yeah, there'll be somebody at the door screening the members of the general public that come to the meeting.
That's required or a suggestion from the attorney?
That was a suggestion from the attorneys.
So we're going to move it?
We already have a,
Motion.
it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Thank you, Vince. Now we'll go down to 5.1. Resolved that the following persons be appointed for the 2021 school year. And the list there is,
Move the list.
Second.
list has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. you have the oath of the officers? Is there anybody? Okay, that's fine. She's going to conduct the oaths at another time for the officers that are not here. Under other appointments on 6.1, resolved that the following persons be appointed for the 2021 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the list? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 7.1 designations. Resolved that the school district depositories be granted to the Sterling National Bank, Catskill Hudson Bank, and M&T Bank.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 7.2, school district newspapers. Resolved that the school district newspapers be designated as the Times Herald Record, the Shawangunk Journal, and the Daily Freeman as
So moved.
directed,
Second.
by the, go ahead. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
I'd like to ask for a motion to vote on these separately.
Each individual paper,
Yes.
you want to amend the motion to read that, Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion to amend the resolution, so I'll take them one at a time. Is there discussion on the motion first?
Yeah. I'll say it.
Discussion on the motion of amending it?
Oh, no.
Well, if he withdraws his motion, we could just vote on the one, right? Because he made the motion.
He made the motion to take these separately. You seconded it.
You made the motion, I seconded it.
Okay.
So I need to know if there's any discussion about that motion. If there's not, then I'll ask to see if we're in favor of doing the resolutions separately. Are all those in favor of doing these resolutions, these newspapers separately? Opposed? One. Motion carries. Therefore, be it resolved, school district newspaper be designated as the Times Herald Record.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Be it resolved that the school district newspaper also be the Shawangunk Journal.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
More discussion?
Oh, discussion, I'm sorry. Discussion? Mr. Burns?
Yes. I think it was 2 years ago, I brought up some of the issues we were having with the Shawangunk Journal. At that time, we had a motion to have a committee speak with the
Yes.
editors and publishers. To be quite honest, I haven't seen any change in the negative coverage of our school district. The students that write for the newspaper put many of their opinion pieces under news sections, and I feel if they're going to teach those kids journalism, they should teach them the proper way to do it. One of the things I found slightly offensive to the work we do here at the Elmville Central School District was an article that said we didn't care about the seniors. I think it's fairly evident that we did as much, if not more, than any other district in trying to help those kids that lost so much their senior year. And I don't see a change. And so for my money, I don't think that we should have the Shawangunk Journal as a designated school newspaper.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Story?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't really care about bad publicity or bad coverage if it's factual. And I truly support the freedom of speech. But a lot of the articles that I've read in the past year that are not factual, there's a lot of a student or somebody, giving their opinion without facts. And for example, was the article about the school letting down the seniors once again. And when you read that article and the lack of facts that are in the article, because I spoke with people on the committee, students were on the committee, students' voices were able to be heard. It was your choice to go into your Google Forms and participate. Your voice could have been heard. They chose to not do that. Many students. There was committees set up with seniors, advisors, and administration. It was not an administrative decision to just do what we've done for graduation. So, and that's just one example of many over the course of the year. So I truly believe that we should also not use that newspaper.
Iris?
So I think, if I'm correct, you're referring to the student columns that are run in the paper almost every week. And they are run and overseen by the Shawangunk Journal. And so it is misleading because many people in the public think that the school oversees those columns. And the paper has never really been forthcoming about that. So I struggle with that. But as far as the regular weekly coverage of board meetings and, that their adult reporters do, I find them to be accurate and thorough, and I think we have a good working relationship with the reporter that they send to our meetings. The student end of things, I have felt has not always been up and up, and they're really op-eds. They're not factual information. So I have issues with that. But as far as the adult coverage of the school, I find that to be accurate and thorough. So I'll have to vote in favor of keeping the Journal as our, because if they're not, I don't know that we'll get any coverage at all. There's no guarantee. So I would be in favor of keeping them for that reason.
Thank you, Iris. So Lisa Ramirez and then John.
My understanding is that the purpose of having an official newspaper is to alert the public to our meetings and to publish legal notices. That's correct,
That would be,
right?
that's what it serves, right?
Actually,
Yes.
So I think it's our responsibility to select a newspaper that has the likelihood of reaching our constituency and not make judgments based on how we feel about the editorial coverage.
Thank you. John?
I'm
sorry.
sorry, just full disclosure, I worked for the Times Herald Record for 20 years as a reporter and as an editor, so I have, I understand the newspaper side, but I also worry that the Times Herald Record does not have a readership in Ulster County the way that it did maybe 10 or 15 years ago. So I worry that if that is our only official newspaper, that we don't reach our constituency by advertising in them. I'm also going to guess they're more expensive.
Thank you, Lisa. John?
There have been news articles per se that have been completely misleading and misquoted. There have been both student articles and supposed news articles that have used sources that they didn't come out and say. And I haven't seen any progress since a couple of years ago when we first brought this up. And I just think that it's unfair of them to take what I perceive to be the personal opinions of the publishers and run them through. Yes, the reporters are decent people, the editor is a decent person, but we're getting unfair coverage, and for my money, I don't see it. So I'd like to ask for a roll call vote on the vote, please.
Granted. Wayne?
I do agree with Lisa where one newspaper will probably not get to as many people, so I do agree. So I would then think that we should maybe look at the Freeman, case of Freeman. I know it's not as local as the Journal, but,
Well, it's on there. It's on the list.
It's already on the list.
oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then there would be 3 that's on the list then.
The Record, the Journal, and the Freeman.
Okay.
And excuse me, I don't know how much we advertise in there. They do publish public meetings, of which ours is always in there. If they can, I would assume they would continue that, but I don't know what type of advertising we take out per se in there. And I don't think it really affects the information that we get out to the public on a regular basis, which I think we've been pretty good at.
Lisa?
Is the Freeman a daily paper?
Yes.
Yes. Every day?
Anybody else want to be heard on this? If not, we'll close the discussion. We'll call for a roll call vote. Mr. Burns?
No.
Jody?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Geneva?
Yes.
Wayne?
No.
Iris?
Yes.
Willie?
No.
And I have a working relationship with them on 2 levels, so I'm going to abstain. Therefore, the motion would go 4, 3, 1 abstention, and motion fails. Motion fails. The district, it will not be a district newspaper due to lack of vote.
Why can you abstain?
I have a relationship on a professional level with them as far as the police department goes. So I abstain from
I'd
voting.
like to make a motion to table the designation of the Journal as our official newspaper till the next meeting.
We just voted on it.
You said the motion failed, you need 5, right?
Yeah, you need 5. Well, no, the motion fails as
Yeah.
far as we don't have enough votes to
Okay.
carry it.
But you need 5 votes.
You
to
need
carry.
5 votes to have it pass.
So it's 4 to, so I'm saying, could we
4 to
table
3.
it until the next meeting? The vote on that particular newspaper.
It's over.
We could bring it back.
We could bring it back. We could always bring it back. You don't need a table. We can bring
All
it
right,
back.
Fine.
Jody?
I think what Mr. Burns is saying, when we have all of our board members here, if we can vote on it again,
Yeah. We can bring it back. But I think,
so it can be on our agenda for next meeting.
yeah, John, I think the motion fails as far as
I understand.
it's not going to be a paper.
Right.
So you want to bring it back again?
No, I won't, we don't need it on the agenda unless somebody brings it up. Somebody can make the motion next
Yes.
meeting.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, I'm not clear. So the motion to have it
To
as a
have the
paper-
newspaper fails.
To have a newspaper.
No, to have the Schwangong
The
Journal
Schwangong.
fails. The Schwangong Journal will not be a district newspaper this
Okay,
year because it did
understood.
not have the support of the vote.
Understood.
Anybody is welcome to bring it back to the floor at the next meeting.
Gotta vote
Go on to the
Freeman.
third one. Be it resolved that the school district newspaper be designated as the Kingston Freeman.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No. Motion carries. Entertain a motion to accept the following dates designated as regular Board of Education meetings for the 2021 school year unless modified.
So moved.
Moved?
Second.
Seconded? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Resolved that Thomas, Drohan, Waxman, Pettigrew, and Maley be appointed as general counsel for the 2021 school year at a retainer fee of $52,500 for the first 350 hours of retainer services, and provided further that any services rendered in excess of 350 hours will be billed at the rate of $210, which is a $5 increase per hour. Paralegal services will be remunerated at $95 per hour, no increase. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Resolved that the following persons and companies be appointed for the 2021 school year.
So moved.
Moved?
Second.
Seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Resolved that Lewis and Greer be appointed counsel to represent the Ellenville Central School District in legal proceedings with regards to capital projects as needed at a rate of $195 per hour work not to exceed 100 hours from the 2021 school year. $10 increase.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Resolved that Mid-Hudson Valley Investigative Group be appointed per the terms and conditions of the attached contract for the 2021 school year as needed. Same as last year.
So moved.
Moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Authorizations.
Motion to move 8-1 through 8-9.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussions? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 9.1, resolved that the Board of Education provide bonding for all employees, officers, and the Board of Education members as required pursuant to law under the terms and conditions of commercial crime policy provided by Northern Insuring Agency from July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Other resolutions?
Motion to move 10-1 to 10-9.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the regular Board of Education meeting, which will reconvene at 7:30 PM. I will call for a motion for executive
So
session if
moved.
necessary. Is there a need for executive session?
Yes.
For the purpose of?
Specific personnel and a contractual matter.
So moved.
Second?
Then moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? We are adjourned to executive session to reconvene the public session at 7:30 PM. Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask everybody to please remain standing for a moment of silence for the passing, tragically, of one of our high school students, Alec Zemenecki. Thank you. You may be seated. Go on to a motion to accept the minutes of the April 28, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Get a motion for the minutes of the May 19th, 2020
So moved.
meeting.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Public forum for this evening. I'm happy to report that we are back to having a public forum. I'm going to call to the podium Tessa Albert to speak about the Black History course. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Before I begin speaking about this matter, I want to make clear that I am here humbly understanding that I will never understand the entire struggle of Black Americans. I do not speak for the Black people in this community. I am here only as an ally to Black people to try and make more spaces in which their voices are amplified. I am here as an Ellenville graduate who knows just how diverse this school is and how it can grow to better serve their diverse students' needs. I am here to present a petition which has accumulated over 800 signatures in 1 week. This petition demands that the Board of Education works to implement a course on Black American history. Too often in public schools, Black American history is quickly passed over or less focused on. Students are educated about some of the oppression of Black Americans along with some Black American civil rights activists. I am still learning parts of Black American history that I was never taught in school. I am still learning about major events and historical figures that were left out. It is important to teach students more than just slavery, segregation, and the civil rights movement. It is necessary to also teach students about the positive contributions Black Americans have constantly made to U.S. society. Black history is American history. To continue calling this a diverse school while allowing major parts of Black American history and culture to be passed over is unjust. It is unfair to Black students as it denies them their ancestors' history in detail. It denies them more positive historical figures, inventors, artists, scholars, etc. This is harmful to all students as it does not inform them of some of the many tragedies that have taken place in an effort to oppress Black Americans. It does not teach all students how Black Americans are still to this day suffering from systemic racism. Students deserve and need to see their cultures reflected in classroom materials and topics. Students need to be exposed to other cultures and to learn to view cultural differences in a positive way. We cannot allow the bulk of responsibility of Black American history education to fall on the parents of these students. We cannot rely on parents alone to teach their children not to be racist. This education, if done properly by the right educator, can help create more unity among students in addition to educating them on many important events and topics of America's past and present. This curriculum has the ability to influence children to be agents of social change. It is clear that the Ellenville Central School District can do a much better job at not only including more Black history in their curriculum, but at creating an environment which disallows and rejects cultural insensitivity among staff and students. I am not sure if you are familiar with the culturally responsive sustaining education framework, which includes guidelines set by the New York State Department of Education, but I sincerely hope that you are. In this framework, it is stated, New York State understands that the responsibility of education is not only to prevent the exclusion of historically silenced, erased, and disenfranchised groups, but also to assist in the promotion and perpetuation of cultures, languages, and ways of knowing that have been devalued, suppressed, and imperiled by years of educational, social, political, economic neglect, and other forms of oppression. This framework aims to have students bring a critical lens to the world as they study historical and contemporary conditions of inequity and learn from historically marginalized voices. Students learn about power and privilege in the context of various communities and are empowered as agents of positive social change. It is imperative that Ellenville Central School District ensures that these guidelines are followed throughout the curriculum and outside of it. We ask that a Black American history course be implemented at Ellenville Central School. It is a tremendous injustice to allow Black American history to be erased or silenced. The curriculum for this course should rely on resources written and developed by racially, culturally, and linguistically diverse perspectives. This course should be taught by a teacher who's not only a Black American, but is passionate about Black American history and culture and agrees that this is a necessary course. It is your duty as board members to ensure that the curriculum and environment at Ellenville Central School District are those that cultivate socio-political consciousness as well as socio-cultural responsiveness. Additionally, it is your responsibility to ensure that all educators and advisors are constantly learning about their students' cultures and communities, and with open minds are able to best meet the needs of each unique student. I am aware that there may be some obstacles which prove bringing in a new course to be difficult. However, the community of Ellenville has spoken. Past, present, and future students, parents, and school faculty in this community have shown their agreement that there is a strong need for a Black American history course to be implemented. Whatever obstacles are present need to be addressed and worked through to make this happen. Ellenville Central School District has the opportunity to be a pioneer and set an example for other schools. We hope that you can do that.
Thank you. Do you have a copy of that petition you want to submit?
I do.
Thank you.
We have a copy of each statement too. Would that be okay? I would love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, that was well said. I forgot to mention in the beginning that the public forum is 3 minutes to the speakers. That's been so long, I just forgot about the 3-minute limit there. But that was well worth it, and thank you for the very informative topic. I'm going to call, I hope I don't pronounce it wrong, Jeannie Clinton to the podium. Did I get it right?
No.
Janae, okay. I got somebody else writing this for me, so. That's my handwriting. That's Vince's handwriting. If you ever saw it, you'd understand.
My name is not spelled normally like it is.
But yes,
Move that down.
yes, my name is Janae Milner Clinton. I did not grow up around here, so many of you don't know me. I moved out here after I graduated from Sorgades, and then I went to New Paltz. But I reside in Napanoch, so I've been living in Ellenville and the Napanoch area for the past 6 years. And as a resident of this town, I think it is very important to feel like, as a Black resident at that, to feel like we belong. And growing up in Sorority, they didn't teach us about my history. That's something that I had to go home to learn about, and my dad would make us watch movies, read articles, read books, and write essays at home to learn about my history. It was never reinforced at school, and what was taught to us at school about my history was wrong. It wasn't truthful. It was portrayed in a way to leave in a way that left our history out or made us feel not important. So I think Tessa eloquently worded everything that is needed in this community, education-wise for Black people. I think it's really important for people like me to come to school and feel like we do have a seat at the table. And when our history is consistently being left out of lessons where we come to learn for years of our life, then it makes us feel less than. And how can we sit here and say the Pledge of Allegiance and say that we're truly one nation under God when we're consistently leaving out the history of Black and brown people in America? So I think you guys, Ellenville, we have a really unique opportunity to set the example for the rest of the country. It's time to include our history in the curriculum. And as a mother of a little girl that's growing up, I personally do not want her to go to public school if her history is not going to be taught, and if it's not going to be taught by someone who, like Tessa said, is passionate about teaching it. If it's not going to be included, I would pull my kids out of the system. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. So I'm not even going to try the last name on the next. Tom? Savaglio. Tom Savaglio.
No, yes, Thomas?
No?
Okay. You take your time.
Yeah.
You don't have to be quick.
Can y'all hear me? Good?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I didn't really want to speak, but the pressure's on and it's time to do the right thing. I'm a little nervous. Public speaking is not my thing. But, like I said, if the pressure's on and it's time to do the right thing, we got to do the right thing. So I'm asking Ellenville School District, place where I graduated, please, the pressure's on, do the right thing. We're not asking you to do something that's outlandish. What we're doing is we're asking you to take an opportunity and lead your children, your students, to the right path. Teach them how to be agents of social reform and teach them what's right, because it's clear that our country is going through something crazy right now, and there's a lack of education. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
There's a lack of education, and that's a big part of what's going on. Misinformation. We got the media portraying so many different things. But if we had the right history being taught from the beginning, we'd all be on the same page right now. And that's what Tessa and my fiance Janae are asking, to just get us all on the same page from the jump. There doesn't need to be reliance on the parents only that, because let's be real, some parents aren't going to teach the right thing. We know what the right thing is. Ellenville, please just do the right thing. And as teachers and people who swore to lead the youth into the right direction, it's your obligation to do that. So I'm asking y'all, please do the right thing. I went to school here. I loved it here. Thank you for having me. And I'm asking you to please just do the right thing. That's all. That's it.
Good. Thank you, Tom. I just want to say to the people that came up here and spoke, in particular the people that graduated from here, it was refreshing to have you come here and share your idealism with this board. I am definitely in favor of a Black Histories course here. I took a Black Studies course down in SUNY New Paltz, I found it to be very informative and very educational as well. What's that? They're going to get screened. So I'm going to defer to the superintendent to address, and I have been advised that she has been looking into some things in regards to this. Superintendent?
So, social media could be good and could be bad. In this case, it was good. We got a heads up that there was a petition out there for a Black History course. I had a discussion with Mr. Pabon in the high school, and we are going to be recommending that go through our curriculum committee. As Tessa said, there are obstacles, but as far as I'm concerned, you know, as a school district, over and over again, whenever we face obstacles, we come together and we address them and we move forward. But beyond just one Black History course, I think there's a lot of work to be done. And I do have the cultural framework that the State Education Department put out. And just as a frustration, you know, they historically, and so does the state, give us a framework, and they give us great frameworks and ideas, and it comes with no resources. As a matter of fact, it comes with defunding us as a school district because we're a high-needs district, and I can talk to you more about it at a different time. First of all, I'm just so refreshed by having young voices speak to the issues that we have in our country and our community, and I would invite you to come to our table and be involved in the ongoing discussions that we're going to have. So beyond just a Black History course, I sit on a diversity and inclusivity committee in the state of superintendents, and this is something that we've been talking about, and we are putting together a committee for equity, access, and diversity. And it goes beyond just a class. It goes to looking at our policies and making sure they're culturally responsive and responsible. It goes to looking at all of our curriculum, not just one course. It goes to looking at our libraries to make sure there are culturally responsive and diverse offerings for students that come into our schools to have access to. We're also looking at various professional development and student training programs, and we have a My Brother's Keeper grant that Mr. Mulhern is working on with students, and they've been doing some really great work. And that will continue, so part of this plan will have a portion of family engagement. If anyone is interested, if any of you are interested in sitting on this committee, I'm very accessible. Thomas, you know that. Tessa, I love your voice. I don't remember what year you graduated, but I would love for you to have a seat at the table to continue the dialogue and the conversation on what you have. So I just want you to know that we are in the process of pulling this together. We were in the spring, and then this COVID disaster hit and really derailed us, which has led to all kinds of other areas of access and questions and inclusivity. So we want to work with you, and we are looking at that Black History course recommendation. We are very supportive of that, but we want to go beyond that also. So that's what I have.
Since I'm going to stay with the topic and ask Tiffany DeMornay to come on up and speak about it. Mr. Mornay, Superintendent Wiles just addressed the course, but certainly want to hear from you. And I would ask if you could make an appointment and sit down with her and have her give you the whole thing that she just went over about it as well, if that's possible. Come on up.
Can I pull this down?
You can.
Okay. All right. So I've been communicating closely with Ms. Tessa, who reached out to me recently who reached out to me recently in efforts in trying to establish this Black Lives Matter course, which is something that I am strongly advocating. The superintendent here, and I have been corresponding previously about how important multicultural is to be integrated within the school district here. As a mother of 4 Black daughters here, I can't stress the importance of how much this means to me, to have my children as well as other fellow students of color to have some type of representation within the Ellenville community. It's currently lacking that. It's my understanding that the Holocaust course is taught in high school, but for some reason we haven't yet brought the Black Studies course up to speed and incorporated into our education system. And as I mentioned to Tessa, I'm even willing to volunteer my time, you know, to give my feedback on how we can get this up and going. And one thing I want to stress is that I don't want it to be a diluted course, and I'm sure other parents like myself do not want this to be a diluted course. I want it to be something that represents positivity in the community, you know, positivity of our before our Black leaders prior to, you know, slavery. You know, it's bigger than just what we're being taught in the school districts right now. So I'm here advocating on behalf of all students of color. And as I mentioned to Tessa, I'm willing to donate my time. I have an organization that I'm also starting myself called Loving Our Black Daughters, which I will also like to get going as well. Something that's very important to me, which I've looked at the statistics here. I've done myself events in the community. One of our community events was called Confidence in Me, which focused on students of color and trying to integrate them into community, get them scholarships and grants. Myself, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of Mr. Terrell Bracey, who owns a barbershop, which is the only Black-owned business in this area. He's been on board as well in trying to, you know, gain some traction in the community. There's very little representation, and I would like for that to change. So, again, I'm willing to sit down at the table, have a discussion at any point. My door is always open. I'm open to new ideas, and I'm willing to offer mine as well. So I just really wanted to come here and make sure my voice is heard and advocate for not just my daughters, but other students of color as well.
Thank you. And like I said, she did do a presentation on this, and responded, so you can
I do want
make
to.
an appointment to see her.
I just do want to comment that I know that Mr. Mulhern, who I want you to meet if you haven't.
Yes, I know Mr. Mulhern.
He has expanded the scope of the My Brother's Keeper grant so that it can include young women also. And I think there are resources there. So between your resources and the resources that we have, I think it could be a great collaboration, and we're committed to that. This COVID, it really derailed us for so many initiatives that we were going to start, and that communication, but we're trying to come out of it now, and we have a reopening plan, but this is not going to fall, we're not going to fall behind on this. We're committed to this work.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Mr. Mornay.
coming.
Move on to Francis Gerge to speak about distance learning.
I wasn't talking into the mic? Sorry. Oh, they heard me.
Mr. President?
Yes.
That was way louder than I thought. Is it okay if I just address the last topic really quick before we move on to the next speaker?
Yes.
All right, so I just wanted to say, because I had the pleasure of going to high school with both Tessa and Tom. We graduated, I think Tessa was the year after me and Tom was the year before me. But I just want to say thank you guys for coming and speaking. I gotta take this off. It is a really important topic, and though I do feel privileged to sit on the board and to have this seat, I understand that my voice alone isn't necessarily going to make a change, nor is it my opinion that should be the agent of change. And so to have other people who are similar to age and me, who have similar passions that I do, even if your passions were differently, the fact that you're here and you're advocating and you're speaking up and you're requesting change, you're demanding change, not only is that a reflection of who you all grew up to be, which I am extremely proud to have grown up with you all, but also it's a reflection of the school district that we grew up in. You know, like we were very, very privileged to always be encouraged to speak our mind, to be raised to be wholesome and inclusive people, and I think it's just a great reflection of our school district, the town we grew up in. You know, like it's a privilege to be able to be in the same cohort with you two and to watch you guys advocate essentially for me, because you know, like at the end of the day, I am a black woman. I do sit in this school, and just to your point, Janae, I don't have children, but a part of the reason me being on the board was to make sure that when I had a daughter, she was in school and she was getting a proper education. And I think that is a huge point, that if you have children or if you want to have children, it's important to make sure that not only are you providing them the right education at home, but you're providing them the right education when they're not in your care. And I think that's what you guys are doing, and I'm just really proud to have known you guys and to be on your side.
Thank you, Geneva. Mr. Gergie.
Okay, I was just thinking of contributing to the discussion of the new emerging paradigm of education. I think it's a good thing, in a sense, coming out of this pandemic, you know, that our educational institutions have been pushed in this direction of, you know, these online learning systems. I for long felt that there was a kind of Ludditism going on in education. I do believe that it should be developed consistently from here on in, that it should be become a kind of perpetual option. I would think we could envision maybe coming this September, like that a good hunk, maybe over half the students will stay home, maybe according to maybe parental judgment, and be able to be in the online learning mode, and perhaps other students who are lacking in resources, perhaps the building be reserved for them, where social distancing practiced, and you know, a concentration of resources for those lacking in this regard. Although every effort should be made to have everyone have a laptop, or certainly $22,000 a student that is spent on an education. A laptop you can get for a few $100. And I think that this is going to be a preparation for the kind of educational milieu actually is going to come in the future. When they took this movement for free higher education, yes, we can have that in a form of a national online university or something like that. And this kind of immersion, I think, is going to be a preparation. You know, it's kind of diving in, you know, and mastering this new milieu. I believe that we shouldn't be thinking so much of preserving jobs for their own sake. I think a lot of education jobs are going to be wiped out by the emerging information technologies. And we just have to go boldly into this new future. At any rate, I'm thinking along, you know, trying to just become part of the discussion of this new paradigm. And I think thoughts about some sort of hybrid way of doing things. I see no reason why a teacher couldn't have a bunch of students in class and so many other students online and interacting with both. And I've often thought the problem of student discipline, I think it would be possible for a teacher to consign a student to a distant learning environment when they're being disruptive to the classroom milieu. So I am rather pro this new paradigm, and say that we go with it and develop it and make it a permanent feature of the future. Particularly, there should be a systematic cultivation of a summer program of this sort. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gergie. That ends the public forum for this evening. We'll move on to reports, information, and correspondence. I have nothing for this evening. Board membership? Right. John?
Yeah, because of the COVID, the Hall of Fame committee has been pushed back. But I just spoke with our athletic director, Kermit, and we're going to convene a meeting and do our best to make sure we have a class of 2020 coming into the Hall of Fame. We've received 5 or 6 new nominations, and so we're going to wind up getting that done in the next few weeks, and hopefully we'll have a school year and a season, and we could get that done, but we will have a group of new Hall of Fame members this fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody, are we going to be ready soon on the mascot?
Yes, the next meeting, we will hope to have a presentation.
Thank you. Wayne?
Yeah, I just, with the craziness of the school year, you know, our seniors, they were really stripped of a lot of things. And I want to thank the superintendent and, you know, Mr. Verbone, Mrs. White, the community. They really came out and supported. I was not at the parade because of work, but I heard it was awesome. I have to tell you, the graduation at the drive-in was really something very special. And seeing the children and their parents, and it was just really, really nice. And I'm glad that we worked really hard to try to have something special for them. And I know that they all appreciate it from everything I've heard. So thank you and your team. And the advisors as well.
Thank you, Wayne. Anybody else? Board members? Nope, we will move on to the superintendent. Superintendent Wilds?
A few things this evening. We are beginning to, we have been collecting research and documents from our state and other states, particularly in our state, with regard to higher education and guidelines that have been released by the Health Department and SUNY. We are still waiting for guidelines from the State Education Department and the Governor's Office on how we're going to reopen, hopefully in September. We were told that we should have the guidelines by the first or second week in July, not January. Just going back to what Mr. Gerge said, you know, there are some things that worked with this distance learning, but there are a lot of things that need a lot of improvement. We were able to put technology in every student's hands. We had Chromebooks that went out one-to-one for families, but really we were building the plane 40,000 feet as we were flying, and there's a lot we learned and a lot more to learn. But I will tell you that, especially at the elementary school, our students need to be in school. Parents are not trained to be teachers, and they need a lot of support to do that. And the way this all happened led a lot to be desired for all of us. As soon as we have more guidelines, our Health and Safety Committee and our Wellness Committee will be working on reopening plans. We're not going to be doing it in a vacuum or a bubble. And we will be rolling out information to our parents as it comes, as we did when we closed. But our hope is that we will be able to open in September, and it's a hope right now. We're waiting to see what the guidelines are and exactly what we can do. And it might be a hybrid, and there'll be different scenarios, and there'll be contingent plans if this spikes again and we have to close again. But we really, we're waiting to see what our state has to say, but we are looking at Connecticut and New Jersey and Massachusetts. They have already released their plan, so we're looking at best practices there. But I'm not an advocate of students staying home forever. They need to socialize, they need to be here, we need to be working together to make that happen. It's an uncertain time, but we're committed to making the best of it that we can. The July 4th parade is modified this year. There are vehicles that are lining up. We have 2 vehicles we could put in the lineup. We have 2 people, I'll be there, and another person to drive one of the, if anybody on the board has any interest in coming along for a ride for an hour or 2 along the parade route, I just think it's important that we have a presence in the parade. As we do, it's not going to be a float, but we are going to decorate a vehicle. So if anyone has any interest, please let Nafisa know, and we can pick you up, or you could meet us, and we would love that. There's been a lot of work done this summer, and well, the summer's just starting this spring, on construction. And we have some renderings, 3D renderings on what the security the entrances redesigned to look like. They look great. And we have a preliminary plan of what the new cafeteria will look like. So I'm going to work with the board president and Vince and see if we can get either a special meeting right before a meeting in July or August. But I want the board to see that, because we're going to get to the point over the summer where we're going to have to submit to state ed so that we can keep the process going to have plans approved so that, you know, we can stay on schedule. I want to address the senior class, and I know this has been a terrible year and there's been so much disappointment, but really the poise and their attitude, I am just so humbled by each one of them and their approach to a terrible situation and making great decisions and working with adults to try to make the best out of a terrible situation. And I really want to thank the community, the advisors, the staff, but most importantly, the students. They stepped up themselves one step at a time here. They lost their senior class. We've been through this, but the poise and their voices and their determination really is a testament to who they are and where they're going. Two other programs I want to tell you about. Mr. Mulhern will be at our meeting on July 21st. We have received a grant, an Advantage After School grant. We did not receive it. We applied for a grant with an organization out of the city called Career Visions. The grant was awarded for $1.4 million, which is about $280,000 over 5 years. This information was in your packet the last time. They are the LEA. They will be doing the hiring. They're using our building to be able to provide some after-school support. We think next year it's going to be done online starting in October, because we don't want to commit to something we can't deliver if the COVID restrictions don't allow us. So we are planning for an online support system. As I had said, they'll be using our building. They are going to be reaching out to our staff and our community to see about recruiting people from our community. In other school districts, they have people from the city that go up to communities, but they understand, especially because of the distance and because of who we are, we want our own community members and our own teachers and staff members to be involved in that. So more information's coming out. There'll be 2 teachers, 2 paraprofessionals for both the high school and middle school. It'll serve 70 middle school students and 70 high school students. The program is 7 through 10. There's a social worker, program assistant. More information is coming, but when you see an email or you hear about this, this is not, we are not getting $1.4 million. It's Career Visions that are working with the school district to roll that out. And Frank will be at the next meeting to discuss that. So in addition to Advantage After School, that opportunity that's coming up, there's another initiative that has been going on. You have had this information also, the Bright Futures Initiative. There's a private foundation that has funding, that is funded support for, currently this year, 13 at-risk students in Ellenville and about 20 in Kingston. It's private foundation money. They drive the money to help 16 to 20-year-olds that are at risk of not graduating. And they provide mentorship and various activities. And I do want to say that earlier when we talked about opportunities for students, MBK has been working with another organization up in Kingston called Go Beyond Greatness, that's really helping students and having students find their voice through a various multitude of activities. So that's something that we're trying to pull all of these things together. But the Bright Futures Initiative, that program's being expanded, and they are willing to give the school district funds to find academic support mentors and community life mentors. So That there will be a posting that comes out that you see, because we will be paying those mentors, and contractually it'll fall amongst the teachers, and we'll do the posting, and we're working on all that now. So when you see that posting, that part is the Bright Futures posting. So more information. Frank is coming to the next meeting to talk about that, but we're trying to get these programs off the ground so that we can move forward in the fall with, even though we have had a terrible economic struggle here, and we still have no information, I will continue to say this, with regard to what the look back looks like and whether or not we're going to have funding cut. So supposedly June 30th was the second look back. We still haven't heard anything from the first look back, but they were talking about, this is what I was talking about earlier, about an obstacle, a 20% cut in state aid, which could mean $4 million less. And for those that haven't been following over the budget process, we cut probably 7 elementary positions. Our class sizes were small. We cut a social studies position, which really, if we're talking about a history class and electives, it's detrimental to who we are. And I often say, and we've been working with the Campaign for Fiscal Equity for a long time, about how underfunded our school district is with the needs that we have. So but we're working through it, and anything that people can help us in the community petition the state, and most importantly, the federal government, to ante up on what's owed to us. We can use all the help we can get. So, but we're committed to continuing to grow and to get better every day. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent for Business, Mr. Napoli.
Thank you. There are 2 topics that I'd like to dovetail off the superintendent's. One is that the current queue up at SED with projects and review right now is at 30 days, which is quite short. So the sooner we get into the queue, the quicker we can get our plans approved. And the other thing is, as the chair of the Health and Wellness and Safety Committee, I'm hoping to get a meeting pulled together, a joint meeting of those 2 committees sometime at the end of July. So for those of you that are on those committees, I'm going to have Nafisa reach out to you to find out your availability. What I'm hoping to do is, just for the summer meetings, is to have the meetings during the day. During the regular school year, we need to wait for teachers to get out of class. We do them a little bit later. But for those of you who she'll reach out, and if you can do something earlier in the day, we'd like to try to get that done. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burns?
Question for Vince. Vince, on these meetings over the summer, would the safety committee be dealing with issues on the reopening that the governor's proposing?
That's correct, and that's why I want to have both of those committees at the table or in the room at the same time, so they can bounce different ideas off and kind of review some of the plans and the documents that we've already received.
And not that it's a shock the governor hasn't sent any information on guidelines.
We've got some stuff from other schools, and we've seen some guidance, and from our insurance company and from the CDC, but nothing directly from the governor's office.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to personnel resolutions. I just want to echo the superintendent and Wayne Story's comments about, it's been a tough year, unpredictable, certainly full of uncertainty, and, hats off to the seniors as well. But just give a shout out to the retirees that it wasn't a normal year for them, to close out their last year, their final year. So, just from myself, and I'm sure, anybody else can say what they have to say in regards to that, but certainly just a shout out to the retirees. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication. I know, some of the retirees, you can give me more of the list so I can recognize them, but Marla Kaplan, Nancy Rosenstock, Judy Arbach.
Rosemary Sloan, Lori Logan,
Mike Guinea.
Lynn Peck.
Mike Guinea,
Mike Guinea.
Lynn Peck.
Yep.
And I do want to dovetail on that we are going, as soon as we're allowed to, we will have our retiree celebration. Like, we're not going to let that go. As soon as we can bring everybody together, we do a retiree recognition and a tenure recognition. So that will we are doing that as soon as we can, and we get the clearance for the.
Even with them as retirees, and going into this year, they worked right up to the final moments, and my hat's off to them. And certainly thank you for your service and thank you for your dedication to the students of this district for as many years as you have. Iris?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up the summer food program at the school. Is that going to be happening? I know there was a limit, they needed to get X amount of students. I was just wondering where that was at.
So the school district is not sponsoring that. Usually it's
That's
the
correct.
town summer program. And my understanding from the last email I got, there were only 59 responses and that they needed 300, and that they were not going to, am I correct with that?
You are correct, and what I've done is I've asked the town to share our flyer for People's Place for the Bag Summer Hunger with those people that did sign up for the summer feeding program through the town, just so that if they wanted access to Food Weekly, they can still have that, but it will not be a daily lunch.
So then that's not going to happen?
That is not going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Move on to personnel resolutions for this evening. Under personnel, under 5.1,
Motion move 5-1.
Second.
been moved and seconded for the list of certified subs and uncertified subs and substitute-related personnel. Moved and seconded, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 5.2, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be resolved that the following individuals be approved to work up to 10 days for updating medical health forms for the athletic department at a rate listed per day worked in the month of August 2020.
Motion to move the list.
Second.
The list has been moved,
Second.
seconded, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, no one, motion carries, unanimous. 5.3, home tutors, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be it
Motion to
resolved.
move the list.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, any discussion? Jody?
Are we going to have guidelines if our teachers are going back into homes or with the CDC, so we're all in compliance?
Yes, as soon as they have not been able to go into homes right now. So we're hoping that we get some guidance from the state education department and the governor about that too, or the library, or setting up areas where that could happen.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? No one, motion carries. 5.4, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be it resolved that Bridget Nesteroke, driver certification number A7303M and New York State teaching certificate number 095407754, be appointed adult education instructor for
So
the year.
moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
This
All-
is contingent on school opening. You know, she comes on Saturdays, and
Yes.
it's really not a, you know, a direct involvement
Right,
here,
we just
so.
want her approved. This is the first business meeting after the reorg, so we want her on so that,
And so she'll be required if there are any regulations as far as social distancing and stuff. I mean, she
Absolutely.
fills the classroom generally, so I imagine that's got to change.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 5.5, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be resolved that Scott Shaw be appointed as
So
administrator.
moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Summer guidance counselor, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be it resolved that Allison Chapin be approved to work 10 days during the summer 2020 as a middle school guidance
So
counselor.
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on this issue. All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Employment contract. These are three of the same, right? So
Motion to move 5.7 through 5.9.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for employment contracts. Any discussion?
Can Rich
Iris?
please just mention who those contracts are
Yes.
for?
Sue Schwal, correct?
yeah,
Sue Schwal, Nafisa Doria, and Marisol Hemp.
yeah. And
And,
Vince.
go to 5.7.
Oh, wait, and Vince
Friday.
Napoli.
and,
And Lisa Wiles.
thank you.
I thought we all knew Lisa would stay. Any others? Discussion on this? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 5.10, absence of building principal. Be it resolved that the building principal's absence, the Board of Education authorizes assistant principal to function as the acting principal and may suspend students or conduct conferences to the same extent as the building principal.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion?
Lisa, because we're under financial restraints, Can principals move and assistant principals move within buildings? Like, let's say both,
Yes.
both administrators at the high school out, someone
Yes.
could come up and handle that and handle the duties. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries unanimous. AV Coordinator, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved that Tim Lukaseski be appointed as AV Coordinator for the 2021 school
So
year.
moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? 512, appointment of CSE. Upon the recommendation of
Motion to move the list.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move the CSE list. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Approved teachers for summer CSE meetings. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved the attached list of teachers be approved.
Move the
Just-
list.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Iris?
I just want to know if this is done on a rotating basis or
It's not-
volunteer?
It's done by building, and as far as the teachers that come to the meetings, who knows the students, or who has had some interaction with students, that's primary
Right.
objective, and then if that can't happen, we try to find someone within the building, so it's not just rotational, it's
Okay.
really who has had specific student contact.
Thank you.
John?
Lisa, do a lot of these CSEs, in terms of changing IEPs, be affected by whether we're doing distance learning or
They could-
hybrid or in school?
They could very well be, depending upon, like, if a student's outside placement, there might be something that the parents have a concern with, that have to come back to the CSE, so things like that, but absolutely.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 5.14, resignation. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the resignation of Mandy Dickman, .8, speech therapist, be accepted
So
effective
moved.
August 31st, 2020. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 5.15, ETA MOA. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved that the memorandum of agreement between the Ellenville Central School District and the ETS RPA Teachers Unit be approved as attached.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. 5.16, appointment of speech teacher. And she is here, so we will recognize her. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved that Mandy Dickman, who holds a professional New York State certificate in the area of speech-language pathologist, be appointed to a 3-year probationary position of speech-language pathologist in the tenure area of speech remedial, effective September 1st, 2020 through August 31st.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Mr. Burns?
Yeah, Lisa, I just wanted to ask specifically, I don't remember offhand, again with the budget cuts, where are we at with speech and what did we lose? Because it's, the cuts hurt normal kids. And when we hurt kids with needs, it's a double whammy from our beloved governor. So could you tell me where we are?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
So prior to this financial crisis, we had 3.8 speech teachers. So we had 3 full-time teachers and almost a fourth, they were 0.8. As a result of the budget reductions, we went from 3.8 to 2.0. I've been talking to Dr. Fogarty, and in the midst of that, of the 3.8, we had 3 of our speech teachers retire. So Mrs. Dickman was the 0.8, she's going to the 1.0, and we have another appointment of another speech teacher coming up. But after further discussion with Dr. Fogarty, there's a very strong possibility that we'll have to add at least a 0.5 back to maintain services for special ed, and possibly, because we're not providing any building service right now, it's just services that are driven by the IEP. So that is an area that we might have to look at to meet the mandates of IEPs. When he returns next week, we'll have a meeting to discuss that and look at the data surrounding that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Ms. Dickman, could you please stand and be recognized? And welcome. You've been here a long, long time, so I'll just welcome you after 16 years, I guess. But congratulations and good luck. Next, we have another appointment for speech. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved that Noel Von Benschoten, who holds a professional New York State certificate in the area of speech and language disabilities, be appointed to a 3-year probationary position of speech language pathologist and in the tenure area of speech remedial effective September 1, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Is she here? Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. We welcome her as well. Next, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved that memorandum of agreement between the Ellenville Central School District and the ECASA, Ellenville Central School District Administrators Supervisors Association, be approved as attached.
Move.
Second.
Been moved, seconded, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, no one? Resignation. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the resignation of Robert Hornsberger, security attendant, be accepted effective July 10, 2020.
So moved.
With regret.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, no one. Motion carries. Resignation. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved that the resignation of Christine Spratt, count clerk, typist, be accepted effective
So moved.
Second.
with regret. And we certainly wish her well in her retirement. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, no one. Motion carries unanimous. Summer professional development. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be resolved attached list of individuals be approved to participate in the summer professional
Motion to move the
development.
list.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Wayne?
So just wondering, because we moved our professional development last time, is this an add-on with these people that we missed somehow, or what happened?
I think that this was part of the last phase-in of who applied during the period that it was open. So, yes, there were some add-ons, but before the closing of the posting.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? John?
Yeah, I questioned that last time, Wayne, but I got to tell you, I think in the situation we're in with this pandemic and what the teachers have been going through, you know, certainly the more professional development they can get, the
Right.
better, especially when it deals with distance learning and the problems that they're facing, so.
And we will continue to press on if there's more courses in the summer for additional opportunities. It's something we're committed to.
Good, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, no one. Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, be resolved that Aaron Levine and Jennifer Budd be approved to participate in the Smartboard Chromebook Summer Professional
So
Development.
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 5.23, elementary position. Be it resolved that the board hereby rescinds its action eliminating one full-time equivalent elementary position encumbered by Dusty
So moved.
Maoli.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
It's good to get one back.
Yeah,
get
fighting
one
for
back.
each one of them.
Yep. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Under education,
Motion to move 6-1 through 6-3.
Second.
been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Under other,
Motion moves 7-1 through 7-14.
Second.
moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, mark your calendars for our next.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to go back into executive session and not return.
Second.
It's been moved for the purpose of?
Discussing personnel.
For a specific personnel matter, Mr. Burns?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn into executive session, not to reopen into public session. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Our next meeting is July 21st, 2020. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.